Welcome into Off the Hook Sports. I am your host, Caleb Calhoun. We will have a lot to get to, but it is I see on the comments, a somber day in American history. I won't say like American history. It already was because it's the anniversary of the September 11th attacks. But obviously, what's notable to a lot of people is the shooting of political commentator Charlie Kirk yesterday. I'm not going to get into whether or not I'm not going to discuss whether or not violence is partisan on either side because it's bad from both angles. It's bad from both sides. There's evidence of it. I mean, there's things that happen all the time in this country, and I really want to tone down the rhetoric in this country. But just from a human perspective, the guy has a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and now that I have a 1-year-old too, it hit hard. It hit me a little harder than a lot of other killings happen in this country. I never felt that way when nobody likes death, everybody hates death, but you do feel it differently when you leave behind young children. And it's been really, as a new father, it's been really hard for me to now see when people with young children like that get gunned down. It's just the worst thing for me to feel. So that more than anything else is what hits me really, 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 really bad. And so I'm gonna try to keep it together. We got a big show to do. We got a lot to do. And I just want to say on everybody, please, let's tone down this rhetoric politically across the board. No one should ever be killed for their political beliefs, and we should never cast aspersions on one side for violence, as it is across the board. It's happening everywhere, and it is really, really, really problematic how this is going about. So let's let the FBI do their job. Let's hope this killer is brought to justice. We don't know the motives yet. We don't know who did it. We know nothing. And it is still disturbing that somebody who did this is at large, as I'm speaking to you as of 10 a.m. on Thursday morning. But this is I just want to say that I just want to ask everybody to just please tone down all the rhetoric. It's getting out of hand, and I'm saying this from, again, tone down the rhetoric in response to the shooting when we don't know who did it yet. Don't cast aspersions on any side, and also tone down the rhetoric in terms of extremism altogether. Let's just right now hope the person is called. And again, I wouldn't normally do this, but I don't know. When you're in your 30s and you have young children, I don't know why that one hit me so hard, but it did, and I just really had to mention it. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to keep it together for the rest of the show. Hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn on your notifications. Tell a friend. We are building something great here at Off the Hook Sports. We got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk about Tennessee and Georgia. Is this Tennessee's biggest September game since the height of the Tennessee-Florida rivalry? I think it might be. And if they win, it could be their biggest September win since '98 Florida. I'm going to get to that. That'll be today's tough question. Joey Aguilar's father has spoken out on Nico Iamaleava. We got a lot to get to with Joey Aguilar's father. He said some very interesting things, honestly, that really stand out. A few things to talk about. So we're going to discuss that. Former Josh Heupel offense coordinators. You guys notice that they are having some great success at other schools right now? I just want to point that out. They both are off to really, really, really good starts to the season. What does this mean? Does this mean more offensive coordinators and staff members on Josh Heupel's staff are about to get jobs? Is Josh Heupel about to develop an elite coaching tree? That'll be banked on it. The 5 Bulldogs to watch for against Tennessee. We're going to talk about those Bulldogs to watch for. And it's kind of interesting where I'm going with that. It was interesting where I went with the 5 Vols, so the 5 Bulldogs is going to be interesting too. And picks and bets for week 2. Picks and bets are here. I'm ready. I had a pretty good week last week, guys, and I'm ready to have another one this week. I'm coming around. Last year I started off so badly. I missed on all of my bets throughout September. I kind of caught up in October and November, but it was just too late. I had a bad first week 0, but I've been catching up since then. So I'll try with picks and bets going forward. So hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications, tell a friend. Again, building something great here at All the Hook Sports. Want you to be a part of it. The show represented by Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle? Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio every day, every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used. East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Let's get rolling with today's tough question, and it involves the Tennessee. When Tennessee faces Georgia on Saturday, College Game Day will be in town. That's the start. It is a matchup involving a top 5 school coming to Knoxville, obviously talking about Georgia being number 3 in the nation, and it's a crucial SEC showdown. With all of these things put together, is this the biggest September matchup for Tennessee since the height of the Tennessee-Florida rivalry? Now, I am not talking about the Tennessee-Florida rivalry in the 2000s once they stopped being top 15 or top 10 every year. I'm talking Tennessee-Florida rivalry, let's say through 2000. We'll say from 92 through 2000. I bring up those 9 years specifically for this reason. They were all September matchups. And most of the time, and pretty much every year, or almost every year, they determined who won the East. One of those two schools won the East every year. Now, 2001 was the watershed moment of the rivalry, but it was pushed to December because of the tragic 9/11 attacks, which, by the way, I want to point out, as we're doing this show on September 11th, in addition to the horrible story that happened yesterday, we want to remember all the victims of 9/11 24 years ago. The September 11th terrorist attacks also just, tragedy. You always want to acknowledge. It's always hard to move on, but I want to point out those two. But anyways, Tennessee, Florida, from 92 to 2000, 9 years in a row was the biggest September game in college football. It stopped the college football world. Is Tennessee, Georgia as big of a matchup as Tennessee, Florida was in the 90s? That is today's tough question. That is the poll question. You guys go ahead and vote on it. Is the poll question refers to is Georgia Tennessee's biggest September game since the height of the Vols Florida rivalry. I think I'm not going to give the results yet, but it looks like one side's pretty much unanimous in agreeing with where I'm going to land on this. Now, before I talk specifically about Georgia, Tennessee, before I talk specifically about Tennessee, Florida in the 90s, I want to talk about there have been some big September matchups in the 2000s. Okay, let's not get it twisted. Now, Tennessee has played top 5 teams in the 2000s. And by the way, I want to point this out. These games, don't look at how the season played out. Look at the magnitude of the games when they happened. Obviously, Tennessee was still playing Florida's top 15 programs in 2002, 2003, and 2004 when Tennessee was 13th and Florida was 11th. Tennessee won the East that year. 2005, there were some games of close magnitude. 2005, for those who don't remember, because the season fell apart, they played Florida on September the 17th when Tennessee was number 5 and Florida was number 6. They lost. The next week, Hurricane Rita delayed the Tennessee LSU game 2 days, and Tennessee played LSU on Monday. Tennessee was number 10, and LSU was number 4. Now, that was the game Tennessee came back from 21-0 down to win 30-27 and overtime. So when you take those things into account, it's not like there haven't been games of massive magnitude for Tennessee. 2006, another one, 2006, I want to point this out. Tennessee and Cal, that was when Tennessee won 35-18, and then 2 weeks later, Tennessee's 13th and Florida is 7th, and that's the one where Tennessee lost 21-20 because John Chavis didn't know Tim Tebow was going to run the ball when he came in and shotgun on 4th and 1 late in the game. 2007, Cal and Florida again. Tennessee, 2 top 25 matchups. Florida was number 3. Cal was number 12. Tennessee was number 15 facing Cal, number 22 facing Florida when Florida was number 3. 2008, no, there were no magnitude games. There was no game. Once Tennessee lost to UCLA after week 1, Tennessee fell out of the top 25 and wouldn't return for 4 years. So no magnitude in any of those matchups. There was nothing really to play for. 2012, though, Tennessee was 23rd and Florida was 18th when College Game Day came to town. I'm just rolling these off to talk about big games that were happening at the time. 2015, an interesting one. Tennessee was 23rd. Oklahoma was 19th. 2016, College Game Day came to town again. Tennessee was 14th. Florida was 19th. And Tennessee ended an 11-game losing streak to Florida. That was a pretty big one. And then the next week they beat Georgia with the Juwan Jennings Dobbs nail boot Hail Mary. So that was 2016. 2017, Tennessee and Florida were top 25 teams, but barely. And Tennessee lost, and then both had bad seasons the rest of the way. 2018, 2019, 2020, they were never ranked. Well, they were ranked in 2020. I take that back. They were ranked to start the year in 2020, but South Carolina was unranked, and that was the only game they played in 2020 in September because that was the COVID year. 2021, they were never in the top 25. 2022, they got to number 25 when they visited Pittsburgh, beat Pittsburgh in overtime, and then they were 12th when Florida came to town that same month. Florida was number 21. But again, there was 12, 21. Florida already had a loss. 2023, they were number 11. When they played Florida, Florida was unranked. And then last year, visiting, they faced NC State when they were 14th, and NC State was 24th. They faced Oklahoma when they were 6th, and Oklahoma was 15th. This is not, I want to point out, going to be the highest combined ranking of two schools for Tennessee since the height of the Tennessee-Florida rivalry. As a matter of fact, so I'm going to throw out a few that had higher ones combined. 2002, Tennessee was 4th, Florida was 10th. But Florida did have a loss. This combined ranking for the record is 18th. That was 14th. So 2002, higher combined ranking between the two schools. 2005, Tennessee was 5th, Florida was 6th. Also 2005, Tennessee was 10th, LSU was 4th. All right, so we're talking 2002, 2005, 2002 Florida, 2005 Florida, 2005 LSU. We're moving forward and going into 2006. Tennessee was 13th, Florida was 7th. That was not as high of a combined ranking because Tennessee now is 15th, Georgia is 3rd. That's 18, 13, and 7 is 20. So not in 2006, nothing in 2007 at that point. So yes, those are the three that I would say the highest combined rankings that Tennessee and a school in September had enjoyed. And so how does Tennessee, Georgia compare to those three games? Specifically 2002 Florida, 2005 Florida, 2005 LSU. Well, 2005 LSU, Tennessee already had a loss. And that was an SEC non-divisional game. The divisional games mattered more during that time. 2002 Florida already had a loss. It didn't have the same hype going in. They had lost to Miami earlier. So really the only one that has the same hype where both teams were undefeated is 2005 Florida. That game ended with Tennessee losing 16-7. But taking all that into account, I would say this game is actually bigger because Tennessee's at home. There seems to be a little more hype behind Tennessee facing Georgia. Georgia themselves are ranked higher than Florida was that year. And it just seems like a more plausible chance. Tennessee doesn't have to look ahead to Georgia to another big game like they did in 2005 when they had to look ahead to LSU. So all that taken into account, I do think this is Tennessee's biggest September game since the height of the Tennessee-Florida series from 92 to 2000. Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones. Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
All right, the poll question up is Georgia Tennessee's biggest September game since the height of the Vols Florida rivalry. 97% of you say yes, 3% of you say no. Let's go look back on the height of the Tennessee Florida rivalry. So I just named all those combined ranking teams. Which years in the 90s did Tennessee and Florida have a higher combined ranking than the Tennessee Georgia game? Well, 1990 was not a September game. So we were going to eliminate that, but they did have a higher combined ranking in 1990, believe it or not. Sticking to 1990, funny enough, Tennessee and Auburn had a higher combined ranking, and Tennessee and Colorado had a higher combined ranking, and those were both, well, no, Colorado was September. Auburn was in September, and Tennessee and Auburn tied that year. 1991, Tennessee and Auburn again had the same combined ranking. Tennessee was number 5. Auburn was number 13. That was a September game. But let's go to the Florida series. Okay. 92, Tennessee 14th, Florida 4th. That was the same combined ranking. So 92, Tennessee 14th, Florida 4th. Okay. That's tied. 93. I'm looking at just straight the AP poll rankings, guys. That's what I'm going by. 93, Tennessee 5th, Florida 9th. That's 14th. Okay. So that's a big one. 94, Florida was number 1, but Tennessee was down at number 16, at number 15. Believe it or not, Florida won the game 31-0. Still a higher combined ranking because Florida was number 1. And Tennessee was ranked what they are now, despite a loss to UCLA to open the season. 95, Tennessee was 8th. Florida was 4th. Again, higher combined ranking. 96, Florida was 4th. Tennessee was 2nd. 97, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm pulling this up now, Florida was 3rd. Tennessee was 4th. So Florida was bigger than 97. 98, Tennessee was 6th. Florida was 2nd. 99, Florida was 4th. Tennessee was 2nd. What about 2000? 2000 was supposed to be rebuilding year for Tennessee, but at the same time, Tennessee entered that game ranked number 11. Florida was number 6. That's a combined ranking of 17, which is higher than this one. So, I mean, sometimes, guys, we forget how insane that Florida series was. But as I'm pulling it up for you now, and I'm not even counting the 90 and 91 series. But let's just say, for instance, 1990 and 1991, even though those were October games. Higher combined ranking in 1990, the combined ranking was 14th, Tennessee was 5th, Florida was 9th. And a higher combined ranking in 1991, Tennessee was 4th, Florida was 10th. So as big as this game was, I want to put into perspective real quick just how big the Florida series was in the 90s. The Florida series in the 90s had a higher combined ranking for Tennessee every single year from 1990 to 2002. Every single year from 1990 to 2002, Tennessee and Florida had a higher combined ranking than they have this year. That's insane. That's actually insane because this has got such hype behind it. That should give you an idea of how big the Tennessee-Florida series was. But at the same time, this Georgia game, I think, is the biggest September game since the height of that rivalry. So vote on that poll question. I think you guys are agreeing with me. I guess it wasn't too controversial, the take I took, but I thought it might be interesting when I said it. But I guess you guys all kind of feel the same way. So portions of the program are brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. It is time for What the H, and it is brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be a jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. Joey Aguilar's father has spoken out and seems to have thrown some shots at Nico Iamaleava. Joey Aguilar's father, in a story that's on On3, reported by Pete Nakos, the guy whose report allegedly led to Nico Iamaleava's decision to transfer, has come out and spoken about how Joey Aguilar was handled going to UCLA and then going to Tennessee. We all know the story. Joey Aguilar transferred from App State last year to UCLA with 1 year of eligibility left, wanted to try his hand at the Power 5 level. Practiced with the whole team during the spring. And then right after the spring, Nico Iamaleava decides to transfer to UCLA. And it looks like it's pretty clear Joey Aguilar is not going to get a fair shake. So he transfers out and ends up at Tennessee in what's clear a trade-off. Behind the scenes, Aguilar's father notes that UCLA was playing, according to the story, a few games in the situation. Aguilar first went to UCLA because he's from Antioch, California. And his father said, quote, being able to play close to family, that was really big for us and Joey, he explained in the interview. However, rumors started swirling about a potential high-profile transfer target. And this is what is standing out. During spring practice, UCLA was clearly already in talks with Tennessee, with Nico Iamaleava. That's what's standing out about this. Because as Aguilar's father is talking, what he's saying is as the spring was going on, the writing was on the wall and the rumors were swirling, which means that UCLA was talking to Nico Iamaleava while Iamaleava was practicing with Tennessee. This jives with Chris Lowe's report, where Iamaleava reportedly told teammates he wasn't going to stay at Tennessee on a Wednesday. The NACO's report comes out on Thursday. He's not at practice on Friday. He transfers on Saturday. Aguilar's father says they were kept in the dark. He says, quote, "We were kept in the dark. They didn't tell us anything. Obviously, the writing was on the wall. We were finding out everything on social media. But even when they were in negotiations with Nico, they weren't telling us anything." Despite the uncertainty, Aguilar remained committed to competing for the starting job. The family's loyalty ran deep, but it became increasingly clear the program was going after Iamaleava and was looking elsewhere. And so Aguilar entered the transfer portal again. However, Joey Aguilar threw a nice little shot at Nico Iamaleava after that. Here's his quote. "We don't have any problems with Nico. If anything, it's thank you. Joey is in a great spot. That's what I would say. Thank you. He did what he decided to do. Everything that happened, happened. I think it's clear who won the trade. Look at the fans and the stats. Everything happens for a reason." That is a direct shot at Nico Iamaleava. Now, according to reports, Joey Aguilar was entertaining Ole Miss and Tulane. Those were other preferred destinations at one point, but he ended up going to Tennessee, and that is kind of a funny shot. So I bring that up to ask this question, and it is what the H. Does the Joey Aguilar family take personally the Nico Iamaleava situation? Are they petty against Nico Iamaleava like Michael Jordan was petty against athletes when he played in the NBA? That's going to be the poll question. I'm going to set it up right now. Is Joey Aguilar's camp a bit petty towards Nico Iamaleava's camp the way MJ was as an athlete, as an NBA star? You guys can vote on that, yes or no. All right, so is Joey Aguilar's camp a bit petty towards Nico Iamaleava's camp the way MJ was as an NBA star? You can say yes or no. I say yes, but I say yes in a good way, and I don't have a problem with it. What the H brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
The poll question up: is Joey Aguilar's camp a bit petty towards Nico Iamaleava's camp the way MJ was as an NBA star? You guys are disagreeing with me. 78% of you saying no, 22% saying yes. Guys, I'm sorry. I kind of agree. I think he is, but I don't mind it. I think he is a little petty, but you want the petty. I mean, that's where you get some good play out of your quarterbacks. You get some good moxie. I think the petty is exactly what you want, particularly from somebody like Joey Aguilar. And so, yeah, I think they're a little petty. I think he takes it personally, but in a good way. That's what makes some people great athletes. You heard Tom Brady in an interview on a podcast one time where he said he wasn't trying to be friends with many of the other NFL players because many of them were competition. He's trying to beat them. Okay. So when you take that into account, yeah, I think he's petty. And I think there's nothing wrong with Joey Aguilar being petty. I think he should be. I'm totally in favor of it. So truth be told, be petty. Be petty, Pendergrass, okay? So, yeah, I think Joey Aguilar is, again, I think he's petty, but I don't think there's anything wrong with him being petty. And so, with that in mind, I'm kind of a fan of Aguilar and how he goes about this, truth be told. I think his father and him feel he was railroaded. They're right. He was, but I think they feel he was railroaded, and I think they are happy to see that I think by feeling he was railroaded, they are going to be a little petty towards the situation. And so, I got no problem with the feeling whatsoever. I'd feel the exact same way if I were them. The exact same way. And yes, I would use it to my advantage. I would use it to fuel my fire, if you want to use that term. So, yes, I disagree with you guys on the poll question on that. Joey Aguilar's father saying it's clear who won the trade. I love that. I think that's epic. I wish more people were that way. It is pretty clear to this point who won the trade. And by the way, other reports are out. Don't think for a second Tennessee fans aren't paying attention to the whole Nico Iamaleava saga with how things have played out. And I don't mean Tennessee fans. I mean Tennessee, the university. There are reports that they are very intrigued by exactly how well Nico Iamaleava plays each week, because they're a little petty too. We know Josh Heupel's a little petty. Josh Heupel's a little cocky. He doesn't mind running up the score on people every now and then. We know what he did to Missouri in 2022 with the last second touchdown, because he was mad Missouri didn't hire him when they hired Eli Drinkwitz. Heupel feels that way at times. And because he feels that way at times, I think it's very possible he's instilling that type of value set in Joey Aguilar. So I think they're all a little petty, and I am here for it. Embrace the petty. Portions of the program are brought to you. Oh, one last thing too before I get to that. Joey Aguilar's father, where I get the report that it's basically people in the staff room. There's a report that's out that people in the staff room for Tennessee are all paying attention to their hate watching Nico Iamaleava when he plays UCLA games at night. And I'm just going to say that I think Joey Aguilar is also hate watching Nico Iamaleava when he's not playing, as is his family. And look, Aguilar's father's looking at it right. Joey Aguilar got lucky. I mean, you get rejected by UCLA and find yourself ending up at Tennessee. That is a win, win, win. It's a huge deal. Maybe he's saying Joey Aguilar won the trade in the sense that he got to go to a better school. But either way, I mean, Joey Aguilar probably thinking, dang, I got real lucky here. That is impressive. All right, portions of the program are brought to you by Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. HempHouseChat2Ts.com. HempHouseChat2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. When we come back, we are going to discuss Josh Heupel's former offensive coordinators are starting to make waves. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Hello, ma'am. Here to look at that plumbing problem?
Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink.
If this toilet is no good,
You're gonna need a new one ASAP.
you are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Please hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hound Dogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. I can't even talk, guys. Hound Dogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. HDKnoxville.com. HDKnoxville.com. It is time for this day in Tennessee football history. And we go all the way back to 1993, 32 years ago today. Tennessee beat Georgia in a matchup that probably had more loaded talent on one field than you will ever see in an SEC game again. And I'm talking about the 93 Tennessee-Georgia game, where you had Heath Shuler throwing to Corey Fleming and Craig Faulkner, and you had on the other side Robert Edwards and Terrell Davis, and just talent after talent after talent. It was Fulmer's first SEC game as the full-time head coach. The year before, he had shocked Georgia and beaten Florida as an SEC head coach, but that was as an interim coach in place of Johnny Majors. This was Fulmer's first first SEC game as a full-time head coach, and he led Tennessee to a 38-6 win over Georgia that day. A legendary moment for Tennessee, and it was part of a period of dominance that the Vols enjoyed over Georgia during the 1990s. This day in Tennessee sports history is brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia daily updates. Facebook.com/sports treasures TN. Facebook.com/sports treasures TN.
A beacon of hope. A beacon of hope.
Sports Treasures.
Sorry, guys. Wrong ad. I'm going to play it now.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
All right, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get rolling now with Bank on It. Josh Heupel has two former offensive coordinators who are now 2-0 and looking very good as head coaches. His first former offensive coordinator to be a head coach was Alex Golesh, who obviously was Tennessee's offensive coordinator during the legendary 2022 season. He was Heupel's offensive coordinator in 2020 at UCF, and then 2021 and 2022 at Tennessee. After going 7-6 for 2 years in a row at South Florida, Golesh is now 2-0 at South Florida, with wins over last year's Group of 5 team to make the college football playoff, Boise State, and at Florida, getting them to number 18. They now face Miami this week on the road, interestingly enough. I think, I told you guys in my rankings, they should be number 1 as of right now, just through the body of work. Interestingly enough, one of his co-offensive coordinators this year is Cody Burns, who was a receivers coach for Tennessee under Golesh and Heupel in 2021. Meanwhile, Jeff Lebby. If 2022 was the season Heupel burst onto the scene as a head coach for what he was able to do at Tennessee, his first year at UCF was really what established him, because he did take a team that had gone undefeated the year before, and he installed a completely new offense. And with Jeff Lebby as his quarterbacks coach, he went undefeated that year in the regular season, repeating what Scott Frost had done the year before. And then after repeating what Scott Frost had done the year before, they did lose their bowl game that year, which Scott Frost won the bowl game, but bowl games were meaningless even back then. Jeff Lebby became Heupel's offensive coordinator in 2019, and then he coached under Lane Kiffin in 2020 and 2021, and under, funny enough, Brent Venables in 2022 and 2023 before becoming offensive coordinator. Lebby's successor, Seth Littrell, at Oklahoma, was fired last year and is now an analyst for Heupel. All of this is to say that Josh Heupel has two offensive I didn't finish this point out. Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby's first year there, went 2-10, but he inherited a team that was still dealing with the aftermath of Mike Leach's death, which happened at the end of 2022. As we remember, Zach Arnett went 5-7 last year. I thought he maybe had gotten a raw deal. He had a really tough job, but Jeff Lebby came in to install a completely new offense. The team was gutted, went 2-10, but this year he's got Mississippi State at 2-0. Now, Jeff Lebby and Alex Golesh both run the Heupel offense with the wide splits. Here's what's interesting about this. They're having success more with defense right now than offense. They scored 24 points in a win over Arizona State, Mississippi State did last week. Only 34 against Southern Miss. South Florida, since Alex Golesh has been there, has been more of a defensive team, funny enough, even though Golesh is an offensive mind. We just saw them beat Florida 18-16. And last year, they were 33rd in points per game. Now, they were 99th in opponents' points per game. So they were still more offense. And they've been more offensive defense, but they've been winning with defense specifically this year against Boise State and Florida. What does this all mean? Well, Josh Heupel, and this is going to be Bank on It, brought to you by Commercial Bank member FDIC, Life Made Better. Josh Heupel is about to initiate a gigantic coaching tree of offensive minds all over the country on Nick Saban's level as an overall coaching tree. Josh Heupel's offensive coaching tree will reach Nick Saban level of success before it's all said and done. That is Bank on It, brought to you by Commercial Bank. Member FDIC, Life Made Better.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
Bank on it. That's right. Josh Heupel's coaching tree on offense will rival that of Nick Saban soon enough. That's going to be my poll question. With Jeff Lebby and Alex Golesh having success, is Heupel's coaching tree about to rival Nick Saban's? Or will Heupel's coaching tree one day, with Jeff Lebby and Alex Golesh's success? There we go. All right, I got it. Sorry, guys. A little bit of issues. With Jeff Lebby's and Alex Golesh's success, will Heupel's coaching tree one day rival Nick Saban's? Yes or no? Vote on that with the poll question now. It won't overall, but it is going to rival Nick Saban's offensively. Now, let me talk about this offense real quick with the wide splits, because it's a big deal. Josh Heupel, the offense looks like it's back where it used to be this year. Josh Heupel's thrown new wrinkles in it. USC and Lincoln Riley also run the wide splits. And last year they were 7-5, and the offense was a major disappointment. We talked about Nico Imaliava being a disappointment at Tennessee, and the offense not being what it was. Well, low-key, guys, I don't know if you guys are aware, but the wide splits offense is actually having more success again at USC. They've only played Missouri State and Georgia Southern, to be fair, but they're averaging 66 points a game as of right now. That's right, 66 points a game USC is averaging. That's insane, okay? That is beyond insane, and I'm telling you guys this right now. Heupel with the wide splits is the wide splits offense is back and making a comeback, and now Heupel's got offensive coordinators having success with it under him. He's only had two. Joey Halzle's his third. Now, I want to point out that Joey Halzle is not and this is a big deal, Joey Halzle himself may be the first wrinkle in this. Because one of the reasons, part of the wide splits in this offense, the veer and shoot having success, is you can't just run the system. You have to have wrinkles that you're willing to install in the system. Okay, Alex Golesh would always script first drives. That was his big thing. Jeff Levy had pro concepts in his route running, in his routes for receivers. That was a big thing for Jeff Levy, and he had some pro concepts for the quarterback. He actually had them scan the whole field a little more than Alex Golesh did. Alex Golesh would script the first drive of each half to throw new wrinkles in. Joey Halzle just runs the system. Josh Heupel had to step in and throw new wrinkles in with Seth Littrell as an analyst this offseason. So I'm going to predict this. Joey Halzle will get a coaching job. I'm sorry, but for him, it won't work out unless, again, he hires an offensive coordinator he stays with offensive coordinators that can be creative. And that's because Joey Halzle doesn't throw wrinkles in the offense. This offense needs the wrinkles, needs the scripted plays that are different from the actual system that you run throughout the entire game, because that's the other way to keep the defense honest in this system. I think Josh Heupel is going to continue to have success with coaches, though, regardless of what happens. Look, Joey Halzle is going to get a head coaching job. Seth Littrell will be promoted to offensive coordinator. Seth Littrell will go get a head coaching job. Alex Golesh and Jeff Levy themselves are good coaches. Alex Golesh is going to get a head coaching job at a bigger school after this year. Heupel's coaching tree is going to really take off, and that's going to help him in a big way recruiting. I see a note that Heupel's actually part of the Steve Spurrier coaching tree. I mean, indirectly, that is true. He played and coached under Bob Stoops, who coached under Steve Spurrier, which is kind of interesting. Now, the difference between that and Josh Heupel with this is Steve Spurrier's fingerprints are not on Bob Stoops. Steve Spurrier ran the offense and let Bob Stoops run the defense and do whatever he wanted to do. Interestingly enough, Josh Heupel's fingerprints are all over what Alex Golesh and Jeff Levy are doing, similar to how Nick Saban's fingerprints were all over what Kirby Smart was doing. It's more these guys are direct proteges of Heupel, interestingly enough. Stoops was just the defensive guy, the guy to run the defense while Spurrier ran the offense at Florida. But yes, I do believe Josh Heupel is about to have a coaching tree that rivals that of Nick Saban, particularly on the offensive side. 57% of you guys agree with me. Yes, he will. 43% say no. Now, here's the concern for that if you're Tennessee. Can Josh Heupel continue to have success as he has a rotation of coordinators coming through? I believe so. If you are truly a good coach, you can replace your staff at will because it's your offense, it's your system, and you just make sure you hire the right guys to throw the right wrinkles in. Josh Heupel seems like he's going to, on the offensive side, just develop people up that he hires and promotes as offensive analysts. And I think the part of that is the stability that he wants to keep on the offensive side. That's a little bit different from Nick Saban, who went and hired out for guys a lot of times, and then he just ran the defense and ran the offense with them. Nick Saban was so involved, guys. It was insane. I see why he retired. He pretty much took over that offense at Alabama in 2021 or 2023, excuse me. And that was a big deal. But yes, I think Josh Heupel's coaching tree is going to be extremely deep when it's all said and done. Portions of the program are brought to you by Peak IV Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. PeakIVHydration.com. When we come back, we are going to talk about the key Bulldogs to watch for against the Vols. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Hello, ma'am. Here to look at that plumbing problem? Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink. If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP. You are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications, tell a friend. Building something great here at Off the Hook Sports, and we want you to be a part of it. All right. It is time for 4 Downs. And it's brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Alrighty. The key Georgia Bulldogs to watch for against the Tennessee Vols. I spoke with you guys on Wednesday about the Vols who will be key in this game, and it's going to come down to the trenches. But Georgia has some elite players themselves, and Tennessee will have to account for them. So let's talk about the key Georgia players for Tennessee to watch for when the two face off on Saturday. As there are a lot of interesting players that are going to have to be accounted for across the board. Now, I'll say up front, Georgia's defense is going to be the big issue for Tennessee. So we're going to play 4 downs, and it's 4 downs for 5 players, but I'll end it with 2 defensive superstars, but we'll have 3 other players on here for the 4 downs. So again, I don't have Dave Hooker soundboard, so I start off with Cooper Mays here. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Coop. For those who don't know why I do that, again, I say it every day, but when Dave Hooker is out, Dave Hooker has a soundboard that has Cooper Mays' voice teeing us off for all the downs. We don't have Dave Hooker right now. I don't have the soundboard, so I do the Cooper Mays impression. So once again, Cooper Mays here. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Coop. Let's get rolling. Coop here. First down. 5 Georgia Bulldogs to watch for against the Dogs. 5 Georgia Bulldogs to watch for against the Vols. Number 5 is Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback. Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback, is he's the quarterback. They obviously got to watch for him against the Vols. He obviously has not looked well so far. This is his first road game ever in the SEC. Actually, no, it's his first road game, period. He played in the SEC title game on a neutral site. He played his college football playoff game on a neutral site. And he's played the first 2 games this year at home, Marshall and Austin Peay. So this is his first road game as a starter. And it's in the SEC at Neyland Stadium. That should be a huge advantage for Tennessee, but he's still the quarterback. You still got to keep an eye out on him. Gunnar Stockton, so far this year, his stat line is to have played 2 bad teams is relatively mediocre, but it is efficient. He's 40 of 58 for 417 yards, averaging 7.2 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 140.7 quarterback rating. So Gunnar Stockton is, again, with Georgia, you got to watch out for him. He is very key on that. Gunnar Stockton at number 5. He's not great so far. Could be a liability for Georgia, but he's still the quarterback, so you got to pay attention to him. Cooper Mays here. Second down. Well, thank you, Coop. All right, number 4 on this list. C.J. Allen, preseason All-SEC linebacker, second team, I believe. He had 76 total tackles last year 49 of which were solo, 3 tackles for a loss, and an interception, along with 4 pass deflections. This year, through 2 games, he has 9 solo tackles, 11 combined tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, already a sack. He's already kind of becoming a mini breakout player. He looks like he's got a lot of talent out there. Joey Aguilar is going to have to account for him every time he snaps the ball. He could be sent on pass rushes. He could drop back in coverage. He could be very tricky in what he does. But Tennessee needs to establish its run game against Georgia. I said they have a chance in the trenches against them. If they're going to do that, it will require the efforts of the offensive line and the blockers keeping CJ Allen in check. There could be some one-on-one matchups between the running back and the linebacker. Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. 3rd down. Thank you, Coop. All right, 3rd down. There's not a lot of proven weapons for Georgia yet offensively. So I didn't know where to go here on who Gunnar Stockton would look towards, because many people are going, Nate Frazier was the highly touted running back coming into the year for Georgia, but he has not been what they thought he would be to this point. He has 25 carries for 116 yards. He's averaging barely over 4.5 yards an attempt, does have 2 touchdowns, but Dwight Phillips Jr. has 12 carries for 115 yards, averaging 9.5 yards per attempt. I don't know if that means Dwight Phillips is actually better. I feel like from what things I've read about Georgia and seen, Mike Bobo was misusing Nate Frazier in the run game. If that continues, Tennessee could be in very good shape. But Nate Frazier is not the guy I think they need to watch out for. My top guy for Tennessee to watch out for on Georgia, believe it or not, and by the way, the 2 go-to receivers are Zachariah Branch and Colby Young, who have 112 and 106 yards receiving respectively. However, Oscar Delp is the guy. They have kind of hidden Oscar Delp. They haven't used him too much so far. He only has 2 catches for 33 yards. He's the tight end. But last year, Oscar Delp had 21 catches for 248 yards and 4 touchdowns. The year before, he had 24 catches for 284 yards and 3 touchdowns. They've been saving him. According to all reports, he's a preseason All-SEC guy too. They've been working to maybe make him their Brock Bowers this year. I think that Oscar Delp is the guy to watch out for the most for Tennessee, and this will really test Arian Carter in coverage along with Jeremiah Thielander. The linebackers have not proven themselves in coverage to this point. They have got to make sure they do a better job of that. But particularly with, and as you guys are pointing out on the message board, just to point out on the message board that yes, Gunnar Stockton processes slowly. A lot of times when you process slowly, though, your go-to becomes your tight end and your safety blanket. And Arian Carter is somebody who has to prove himself a little bit more in coverage. 4 downs, again, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
All SEC Center Cooper Mays here. 4th down. Thank you, Coop. All right, 4th down. It's a couple of players that we have to mention. So, 4th down is this. Preseason, first-team All-SEC, potential All-American caliber players. In the secondary, K.J. Bolden. K.J. Bolden started as a true freshman for Georgia. He is a sophomore now. He last year had 40 solo tackles, 59 total, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack, an interception, and a pass deflection, and a forced fumble. Already has a pass deflection this year, 10 total tackles, 3 of which are solo. Hasn't had to be used too much to this point. He also can sometimes be a return specialist, has only returned 1 punt this year so far, but definitely worth paying attention to on that front. KJ Bolden is going to be a key player for Georgia. By the way, 4th down is this. Defensive superstars. KJ Bolden is one of them. Joey Aguilar is trying to beat Georgia. Now, I think Tennessee's chance to beat Georgia is in the trenches. I think that Tennessee's chance to beat Georgia is more in the trenches than anything else. However, Joey Aguilar is going to have to connect on some big plays. And I think they have the players to do it this year for the first time, most notably Mike Matthews on the outside. Tennessee has never had a go-to wideout dictating coverage as fast as Mike Matthews. That can stretch Georgia's secondary and allow Tennessee to do what they want to do offensively against them for the first time since Josh Heupel's been at Tennessee. And with that in mind, I think that KJ Bolden will be tested. Tennessee has to keep an eye out for him. But the most important player to watch for when Tennessee plays Georgia is Christian Miller. The defensive lineman has hardly played this year so far. He's been in 2 games and has racked up 0 stats. I think they have saved him. Christian Miller is a 4th-year junior, had 27 combined tackles last year, 4 tackles for a loss, and 1.5 sacks and a pass deflection. He's the guy in the middle to blow up every play. Everybody's happy about Tennessee looking and how they've looked so far on the offensive line with 4 new starters, all new interior offensive linemen, including a new center. It was supposed to be David Sanders at right tackle, Lance Hurd at left tackle, Lance Hurd the one returning starter, and then in the middle, Sam Pendleton at center, and then Jesse Perry and Wendell Moe Jr. as the 2 guards. However, Sanders, the true freshman phenom, has been hurt through 2 games, so they've had to move Jesse Perry over to right tackle and keep Moe and Pendleton in the middle while Sham Umarov steps in as a guard. I doubt they're going to make Sanders the first start against Georgia. So I think they're going to stick with Perry at right tackle and then those 3 interior offensive linemen. And for as good as they've looked, they have not been tested. Syracuse is very, very soft on the defensive line and offensive line. They are a solid program. Fran Brown is running a good program there. I actually respect what he's doing. He's at Syracuse. He inherited a bad program, though he inherited a very finesse program, and he wasn't going to be able to fix that overnight. So he's trying to rely more on quarterback play and skill players and then hope to build up the trenches later on a much lesser scale, similar to what Heupel kind of did when he took over at Tennessee, funny enough. Luckily for Heupel, Javonte Spraggins, Cooper Mays, and Jerome Carvin were already there, and they were developing well. Now, with all that said, this will be a huge test for Tennessee, and they will have to contain Christian Miller, who I think has superstar All-American NFL draft potential, and containing him could be extremely difficult. This is going to be one of the toughest tests for them all year. This is where you get your in the trenches. Games are won with the War Daddies on the line of scrimmage. Christian Miller, 6'4", 310 pounds. If they can contain him, they will be in good shape. And with that said, I think that it's key for Pendleton, Moe, and Umarov, or Perry if Perry moves back into the middle, if David Sanders does go, to be able to manage the defensive line in Georgia, the interior defensive line, and that starts with Christian Miller. And if they can't, they will be in serious trouble on Saturday, because I think this is the first chance Tennessee's had since Josh Heupel's been there to win the game in the trenches. And it'll start with Christian Miller on Georgia's defense. Portions of the program are brought to you by Quality Tire Pro, serving Chattanooga community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, hey, Mo, Off the Hook Sports sent you. When we come back, picks and bets time, baby. We are doing well, and we're going to keep building. Let's go. We're rolling. Stick with us. 2 minutes. Off the Hook Sports.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super Savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume 4 dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications, tell a friend. We are building something great here at Off the Hook Sports, and we want you to be a part of it. It is time for the stat of the day. And the stat of the day is this. Tennessee versus Georgia, when both teams are undefeated, the record is 5-5-1. How's that for size? Now, a couple of interesting ones on that. Few of those times, both teams played each other to open the season. We're talking 1988. They played each other to open the season, and Tennessee lost. 1980, they played each other to open the season. Tennessee lost. 1981, they played each other to open season, and Tennessee lost. And 1967, they played each other to open the season. 1968, they played each other to open season. That game ended in a tie. This stat goes all the way back to 1907. The schools are 5-5-1 when they play each other, and both teams are undefeated. But 3 of those times were to open the season. Stat of the day is brought to you by Joe Newbert Collision Center. For nearly 50 years, Newbert Collision Center has been East Tennessee's best choice for quality repair work and fantastic customer service. JoeNewbertCollision.com. All right. Let's get rolling. Who wants to make some money, baby? That's right. Your boy here, balled out last week. And when I say balled out, I mean your boy over here during the week was freaking epic. I was 21-13 overall. I was 3-2 on my best bets. Should have been 4-1. I hate you, SMU. I hate you. You should have covered that 2.5-point spread. I cannot believe you choked that game. And I want Rhett Lashley fired right now for that. But whatever. It happened. That loss happened. I accept the Iowa State game, one of my best bets. I took the over. That's on me. That's the stupidest thing I ever did. I took an over in an Iowa game. You guys, I should be ashamed of myself for that. But it is what it is. On the year now, I'm 39-34 overall, 6-9 on my best bets. If it wasn't for that stupid first week when I went 0-5, I'd be 6-4 right now. But I'm still coming back. I'm clawing back, and I'm going to make you guys some money this week. All right, this week, here's what we have. We're picking every SEC game again. That is 11 games overall. The reason it's 11 and not 16 is because there are 5 games involving 2 SEC teams. But then there's also a top 25 matchup beyond that, giving us 12, and our best bets will include 2 others. Now, here's how I'm playing this game. So that gives us, by the way, 14 games to pick overall. Again, the rules are I pick every game involving an SEC team and every game that features 2 top 25 teams. Then I do my best bets, and that can be anybody. So let's get rolling, baby. We are starting. That gives me overall for this week, if you're counting, 26 bets to give. And let's go. We start with Oklahoma and Temple. Oklahoma minus 20, and I'm going Oklahoma minus 21.5 against Temple, but I'm taking the under 52.5. John Mateer is a Heisman candidate right now. He hasn't been scoring at will, though. I think Oklahoma wins this game because their defense shuts Temple down. Remember, their first game, they beat Southern Illinois, a FCS school, 35-3. I fail to think that they would score that much more against an FBS school, even a bad one. So I could see 45-3 in this one, and that's still going to hit the under. So Oklahoma's going to cover, but the game won't hit the over because they're not going to score like that. Brent Venables doesn't want to do that. So I've got Oklahoma covering, but the game hitting the under. Wisconsin at Alabama. I still believe in Kalen DeBoer. I still believe in Ty Simpson. But I think the over-under is a little too low at 46.5. I have some faith in Wisconsin's offense to be able to help go above that, which is why they will cover. So I'm going Wisconsin plus 20.5 at Alabama in the over 46.5. I see Alabama winning this game something like 35-17, at which point Wisconsin would cover, but the game would hit the over. But I do think Alabama wins comfortably. I just think that spread is too large and that over-under is too low. South Alabama at Auburn. Auburn's looked very good the first 2 weeks, and Ball State, what they did last week was impressive, but 24.5 is a bit too high of a spread, so I think South Alabama covers that. I think it's a shootout because Auburn's offense has showed that, so the game goes over 55.5. So South Alabama plus 24.5, Auburn over 55.5. And I forgot to bring something up. This is hot or cold. This is hot or cold. It is brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. City Heat and Air, 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. And if I pick the SEC school to cover, I'm hot on them. If I pick them to not cover, I'm cold on them. So Oklahoma, I'm hot on. Alabama, I'm cold on. Auburn, I'm cold on. Tennessee, Georgia. We'll say this. I got Tennessee plus 3.5. I think Tennessee covers a 3.5 point spread. The line moved dramatically for a reason, and I am hot specifically on Tennessee. That's right. All right. Missouri and Louisiana. I'm hot on Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz loves to run it up with his offense. Did it the first week with Bo Prabula, so that game's going to hit the over at 47.5 because Missouri is going to drop 57.5 on their own. They're going to score as much as possible. Not really, but I do see Missouri winning this game like 55-21. So Missouri covers, and this game hits the over. UTEP, Texas. Cold on Texas. Cold on Texas covering because it's a 41.5 point spread. That is way too large. I think this game, they beat San Jose State 38-7. I think Arch Manning is good, but whatever Steve Sarkisian said last week, it seems like they're trying to be careful with him. They're not going to play him too much, so I see another 38-7 type game. I might even see another 42-7 type game, and at which point Texas still doesn't score enough for the game to cover, for them to cover, or the game to hit the over. So I'm UTEP plus 41.5 because that's too large. All right, the last two non-conference games for involving SEC teams. Eastern Michigan and Kentucky. Cold on Kentucky. They look horrible. Mark Stoops' offense looks horrible. So I'm Eastern Michigan plus 24.5, and I'm taking the under 47.5. And finally, Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Texas A&M plus 6.5. I think Texas A&M has been saving some things. Mike Elko's been saving some things specifically defensively. Notre Dame is not ready for that. I think Texas A&M's offense with Marcel Reed is looking really good at different times. So I think they turn this into a shootout. They score very well, and on the road, they help push this game to the over, to where if Notre Dame does win, it's something like 31-28 or something like that. All right, so now other games that I wouldn't play hot or cold with, I'll just say am I hot on the favorite or cold on the favorite because it's not an SEC team and a non-conference game favorite. So starting with LSU in Florida. I'm hot on the cover. LSU is 7.5 point favorite. I'm taking the over 47.5 too. I know it's been a defensive struggle with these guys so far, but I think last week was a fluke with the weather. I think LSU scores a decent bit. I think LSU might actually win this one comfortably. I see LSU winning this one 38-24. Honestly, Florida might be quitting on the season early. Ole Miss, Arkansas. I'm hot on Ole Miss covering the 7.5 point spread. I think Lane Kiffin goes all out on this one. He wants his quarterback to still make a statement. Arkansas's offense has been elite, but its defense has been questionable. Ole Miss's offense is elite, and its defense is questionable with Lane Kiffin at the helm. So this game easily hits the over 61.5. It easily hits it. I think it's a shootout. I'm seeing 55-41 Ole Miss, man. I love points in this game. I love points, but I think Ole Miss does cover. And I already brought to you guys Tennessee, Georgia. Gave you guys my thoughts on that one. South Florida, Miami, another top 25 matchup. I'm going South Florida plus 17.5. I'm going South Florida plus 17.5, and I'm taking the over 57.5. I know it was an 18-16 win for South Florida last week at Florida, but at Miami, I think Alex Golesh can make this a shootout when he needs to, and I think he will. And I think Miami still probably wins, but yes, South Florida plus 17.5. It's not that much of a blowout. The game will go into the over. I see Miami winning this something like 35 to 28. I'm seeing like 35 to 28 for Miami. All right. I talked about Ole Miss and Arkansas. I talked about LSU and Florida. And the final one we close out with South Carolina and Vanderbilt. South Carolina, 4.5-point favorite, over 49.5. I'm hot on South Carolina covering. I think South Carolina is going to cover. Lenore Sellers, they kind of saved him a little bit. And Vanderbilt's good. What they did to Virginia Tech is impressive. Was more impressive than what South Carolina did to Virginia Tech, honestly. But I still think South Carolina is better, and they're at home. So in a battle between two of the better quarterbacks in the SEC, which is why I'm going over 49.5 in this one. I think Lenore Sellers gets the better of them. So I see South Carolina, again, winning this one, something like 31-24. South Carolina wins. Again, Hot or Cold brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. CityHeatandAir.com.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare. Our best bets of the week. Let's get rolling. Here we go. The best cover of the week, South Carolina. They will cover the 4.5-point spread against Vanderbilt. I'm very high on them doing that. I think they're a much better team. They're at home. That's my cover of the week. My underdog cover of the week, Arizona plus 1.5 against Kansas State. And guys, truth be told, I don't understand this one. Kansas State lost to Army last week. They might really be wanting to quit on the season. This game's at Arizona too. Arizona has blown out their two opponents, Hawaii and Weber State. Not only is Kansas State 1-2, having lost at home to Army and lost to Iowa State, but they only beat North Dakota 38-35. I think Arizona covers the 1.5-point spread. I think Arizona wins outright. But I'm trying to get you guys richer, so that's not going to be my top money line play of the week. By the way, I got y'all rich last week when I called Mississippi State money line, didn't I? Yep, that's right. I called Mississippi State money line. I almost called South Florida money line. But for those who don't remember, the reason I didn't call South Florida money line is because Mississippi State was a bigger underdog than South Florida. And I was looking out for you guys, trying to get you rich. And I got you rich. Because if you listen to me, I said, go bold or go home and go with Mississippi State money line. My actual other under was Boston College, Michigan State. Boston College was plus 4.5. Again, I'm glad I didn't take money line on that because Michigan State ended up winning, I believe, 42-40. And so I nailed it overall. But yes, so I'm trying to get you guys rich. I'll say my money line, but Arizona, I think, does win outright. So if you want to get rich, take Arizona money line. But for this purposes, they're just my underdog of the week at plus 1.5. All right. Arkansas, Ole Miss. Points, baby. I told you guys, I love points in this one. I'm obsessed with points. I love the over 61.5. Neither side plays defense. One side's got a quarterback who's played like a Heisman contender for the first 2 weeks of the year. The other side has a coach who goes out of his way to score points and turn quarterbacks into Heisman contenders. When you take all that into account, it's at 61.5. That over-under should be at 91.5. I love South Florida. I love the over for Ole Miss and Arkansas, baby. Let's do it. Let's get rich. All right, and finally, my under of the week, Colorado and Houston. Deion Sanders is scapegoating somebody. Surprise, surprise. And he's starting a new quarterback. And I think the 45.5 is actually too low. I think this Colorado-Houston game is in the high 30s. Willie Fritz is a guy who is not going to run up offensive numbers at Houston. And so with that in mind, yeah, I'm going under 45.5. I see a 24-17 game in this one, whoever wins. And finally, my money line of the week. Let's get rich. It is Tennessee. That's right, the Tennessee Vols. I'm giving you guys my prediction early. Tennessee's going to upset Georgia. They're going to beat Georgia at home. I'll talk more tomorrow on why they're going to beat Georgia at home, but they will beat Georgia at home. There's a lot of things working in their favor. Take Tennessee money line. Vegas moved the line for a reason, 3.5. telling you guys right now, Tennessee will win. They will upset Georgia. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, up by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We broadcast to you live every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. All right, guys. You guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you guys all again tomorrow as we get set for a big weekend for Tennessee football. Thank you guys all for tuning in with Caleb Calhoun